right, so what a game that was. First off, I just want to clarify something. I gave my editor, Russell, the night off. He works his butt off. Usually he's been the one staying up late, editing these videos into the middle of the night for me and got them all looking good. And he just needed a day off. He needed a break. I appreciate him, and he does a great job on this channel. So, because he's not around, I have to edit this video, so the quality is not going to be up to its usual standards, so bear with me on that one. But anyways, back to the game. Dallas won the game. They won the series in 6. Final score 117-116, and we have got a lot to talk about. So first off, I was on Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it, and both fan bases are already complaining about the refereeing. And it's pretty humorous, but I will say refs certainly felt extremely involved in this contest. They had a hand in everything, and both teams, both fan bases really, feel like the refs were out to get them. I will say this game was determined by free throws on the last shot for Dallas. PJ Washington went up for that three-point shot, and they called a foul on the court. Now, the thing is, there was initial contact with the basketball. It looked like it was all ball until the hands gets dragged down and then there's contact with the arm. But the rule book does state, and Richard Jefferson, I believe he even said this during the game as we were watching the broadcast, that can be legal if the initial contact with the basketball is all ball and the contact afterwards with the body is ruled inadvertent. Apparently, the referees didn't see that as conclusive enough evidence, so they didn't overturn it. Therefore, PJ Washington shot his 3 free throws, and the Mavericks go on to win the game. So that was a huge play. I mean, a series-deciding play. And I think for Oklahoma City fans, this is going to be a big one that's probably going to bother them for a long time. They got a bright future, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. So, I mean, they might get over this quickly from a competitive standpoint. But looking back on the series saying, what if? This one might stick with you for a little bit. The way Bulls fans looked at the 1994 Eastern Conference semifinals between Chicago and New York and that phantom foul call. Or the way the Pistons fans looked at the phantom foul in the 1988 NBA Finals where Bill Laimbeer was called for a foul on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar during a skyhook, which I will admit, even as a Lakers fan, that didn't really look like a foul. The way those foul calls haunt those fan bases, I think that's going to be bothering OKC fans for a while in this same fashion. Who knows? I might even be making what-if videos about this series 20 years from now. But again, if you're a Thunder fan, I wouldn't be too discouraged. You've got a bright future, and maybe you're feeling a little bit ripped off at this moment, but you have the youngest team in the playoffs. You've got an MVP candidate in SGA. You've got a future superstar player in Chet Holmgren, and you've got an extremely deep team. Yes, they were a first seed, and a lot of people are going to say this was one of the weakest first seeds we've ever seen. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that. They're a young team, and one of the concerns with a young team is they don't know how to stay poised, and they don't know how to put teams away. That is usually a trait of an inexperienced young team. And they got big lead, double-digit lead after double-digit lead on these Dallas Mavericks, and they just couldn't close it out. They couldn't put it away. But the experienced Luka Doncic, the experienced Kyrie Irving, and they had role players who stepped up big. They were able to turn that game around and end up winning the contest. So again, I think OKC is going to be fine in the long run based on their foundation. They're going to be contenders for years to come. So now let's focus on the Mavericks for a bit. Luka finished the game with 29, 10, and 10, so a nice strong triple-double for him, which is basically just standard procedure for Luka. He also had 7 turnovers, and he was extremely sloppy early on, but he did clean it up. That 7th turnover came around the 8-minute mark of the third quarter, so good job finding his composure and cleaning up his game a little bit and not making those mistakes as often down the stretch. Now, Richard Jefferson, during the broadcast on ESPN, or ABC, whatever, he brought up a good point that Luka was lacking focus, and it is standard procedure for him to be complaining to the referees constantly, but it was especially the case this evening. He was in the referee's ear the whole night. Whether or not Mavericks fans thinks that justified, whether or not it even is justified, you still got to be a leader. You still got to be available for your troops. You got to put your head down. And yeah, they were able to win this game and win this series, but they haven't won the championship. They still got to go to the Western Conference Finals. And I tell you what, if you're getting rattled by guys like Lou Dort and Jalen Williams defending you, you sure better hope that Denver ends up winning on Sunday. Because if Minnesota wins, it's going to be a hell of a lot worse when guys like Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards and the rest of Minnesota are smothering you on the perimeter. That has been a suffocating defense, and I think that would be a nightmare situation for Luka. So again, if you're going to be so sidetracked and focusing more on the referees than the actual game, you better hope that you're not running into those boys in the next series. With that being said, you're happy to be a Dallas fan tonight, so celebrate the win, but that's just something to keep in mind. Kyrie Irving got off to a terrible start, only had like 4 points in the first half, but he was clutch once again down the stretch, and Luka's got to be so happy knowing that he's finally got that second superstar who he can rely on in big games down the stretch. And I saw this crazy stat, like just absurd stat. For Kyrie's career, he's 14-0 in closeout games. Now, I understand part of that is just circumstances. Some of that is coincidence. Some of that is the guys he's played with. He had, obviously LeBron James on his team for a while. But that is not all just circumstances and coincidence. A bit of that is Kyrie Irving, and he is a big game performer. So that was just an amazing stat that I just had to share with you guys, and shout out to Kyrie for that. Obviously, PJ Washington made the big plays down the stretch, but for me, the hero of the night for Dallas was Derek Lively. Oh my gosh, this young kid, you guys have got to be loving him over there. The hustle plays, the rebounds, like Luka was just so fired up seeing all the big difference maker plays that he was making. And it feels like every successful team has that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a Lakers fan, we always had that guy. Sometimes it was Derek Fisher. Even when the Lakers sucked in the mid 2000s, that guy was Ronny Turioff for a bit. And then in 2009, that guy for us was Trevor Ariza. And then I would even say in 2020, it was Dwight Howard. Like, Dwight Howard was that guy. You always have that guy who does the little things well. He might take a charge when you need it. He might dive after a loose ball. He might get a rebound where he has to fight past three guys. That was Derek Lively tonight. And so you gotta have guys like that if you want to be competing for championships. And I just had a big smile on my face seeing him do his thing and seeing Luka being so excited about it. So let me know in the comments who that guy is for your franchise, whether it was past eras or present. Who is that guy that you just resonate with, who just does the little things well and you just love dearly because of that? And for Dallas, I can tell right now, Derek Lively has been that guy for you guys. Ultimately, he had 12 points and 15 rebounds, but his impact went way beyond the stat sheet on this evening. So now let's look ahead. You've got the role players playing great for Dallas. You've got Kyrie playing well when it really matters in the second half. And Luka, although he's banged up, he's hitting big shots, and he's starting to get a little bit of his quickness back ever so slightly. And they're going to be watching this game 7, between Minnesota and Denver, just like the rest of us. And it's going to be interesting. Mavericks fans, what are you hoping for? Honestly, I know they're more experienced. I know they're the NBA champions. But if you're the Mavericks, I kind of feel like you're probably hoping for the Denver Nuggets, because I just don't like that matchup with Minnesota. I feel like where they are strong is where they could really frustrate Dallas, and that's with that perimeter defense that is just scary. And so for that reason, if I was a Dallas fan, I would be hoping for Denver. I gotta be honest, I think the Mavericks are losing the series either way, and most honest basketball fans are gonna share that opinion. But with that being said, they've got a puncher's chance. I mean, the team looked extremely deep tonight, and you've still got two superstars in Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, And on any given night, one of those guys could just take over and own a game. And so you never know. They got a shot. They got a shot. So another great series in the books, another great game in the books. Again, if you're an OKC fan, you got a bright future. I wouldn't stress about it. Again, it's frustrating the way it ended, and we're going to be talking about this what if for a long time. But as they say, in sports, there's always next year. And we're going to be saying that with OKC for quite a while because they are a really, really deep young team. Let me know who you got in tonight's game, Minnesota or Denver. Honestly, I kind of don't care who wins. As a general basketball fan, I'll be happy either way, and I'll be making either Anthony Edwards or Nikola Jokic legacy videos either way, so I'm just hoping for a good game. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.